Welcome back. So the var keyword will always be under discussion if you should use it, if you shouldn't use it. Some really love that you explicitly or you really explain what is it that we're working with here. Others are more into just implicitly knowing that I can just mouse over and I'll see what this actually is, what type this actually is. So it's up to you if you want to use the var keyword or not. I kind of encourage it because I like it a lot myself, but it's really up to you. So just to show you, these two are actually, they could be exactly the same, right? This is a var I and this is an int I. Why are they the same? Well, as I said before, that's where the compiler gets into the picture, because the compiler is going to say, so this is the number 10. Okay, well, I know the number 10 is an integer, so when I compile the code for you, I'll just create an int and I'll compile it into that. So now it's actually an int. But for the reader of the code, who's the human reader, maybe it's easier just to read the word var. I don't need to know that 10 is an int because I know that. Why does it make sense? As you start making bigger programs and you start having a lot of different object types, for instance, this just is a lot easier to work with. When you start using for loops, when you start using a lot of different other keywords and value types and reference types, this is just a lot easier. I'll show you that as we move forward, but let me just, before we end this, give you a very brief example of the difference between a var and an int in our previous code that we wrote. So inside the code here, right now I've written a string name, and let's just make a new one here that's called name2. Now I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to do a read line here, just like we did before, and now notice it doesn't say explicitly. I use the keyword explicitly because it's a pretty good thing to know. That's what we call it. It doesn't show explicitly that this is a string. It just shows the word var, right? And name2 knows that it's a string. Sorry. If I mouse over and I zoom in here, you can see it actually knows it's a string. It doesn't know it when we read it with the human eyes, but the computer will know it when it converts it using the compiler into the machine code. So I just want you guys to know that and see the var actually in action. Now the cool thing is that if I wanted to, I don't know if it's cool, but it's the thing, I could actually just put in a number here and still the variable would work. I could put in a decimal and still the variable would work. So as you start moving forward and you start working with a lot of different types, var is just easier to read on the left side of the code, and then you can write whatever you want, what type you need on the right side of your equal sign. Let's try and play more with this later, but now you know the var is out there in the .NET language, the C# language, and it's very powerful in my mind. See you next time.